What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Welt Sustain and all the possible options that Welt Sustain can open up for our girl Acheron. So if you enjoy this type of content, let me know by liking the video, leaving a comment in the comment section below, and consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Before we begin, I want to point you guys in the right direction when it comes to Welt Sustain and how to run Welt as a sustain and how to play him optimally and how to build him. For that, you're going to go to SilverWolf's YouTube channel. He is a smaller content creator, but he makes a lot of good Welt Sustain videos, and as you can see, I've watched a few of them. I've watched a lot of them on my phone, which I don't have the same account, but he has all the knowledge you would need for you to be able to run a Welt Sustain to its maximum capacity. This guy puts out some really good content, so make sure to check him out. Tell him that iSummon sent you. Once again, we're back on the spreadsheets, and this time we're running a baseline of S1 Acheron. That's why we have a 36% crit damage bonus over here, and then we also have a 48% extra damage bonus over there. We're also running the 635 flat attack increase that she gets from the light cone, speed boots, and then everything else should be the same. Pretty generic. Attack orb, attack rope, 30% in subs, which should be pretty attainable. Total of 3,700 attack, almost 3,800 attack, and it's probably because of the signature light cone why our attack is so high. Also, for damage sources, we have 8% from her lightning trace, we have 12% from the relic set, and 90% from her own damage bonus that she gets from ulting once. So this is after she already ulted one time. Aside from that, we only have Welt's 12% vulnerability multiplier that he gets to the entire party, and this is the final damage we have as of right now. This is keep in mind, this is only taken into consideration the 115% extra damage bonus that she gets from having one Nihility character on the team. We have not added a second Nihility as of right now. All right, so down here is a list of all the Nihility characters I'm going to be testing. All of these give Acheron some sort of damage amplification that goes in directly into the formula. That's why Kafka's not here, because she doesn't give Acheron any direct stat multipliers, but everybody else in here does. So we're going to go one by one, adding all of them up, see which one is the best with Welt as a sustain. And then at the end, we're going to be adding Sparkle, we're going to be adding Ruan Mei, and then we're also going to be running Bronya for those of you interested in Bronya Calcs as well. So this is going to be an extensive video, but bear with me. It's going to be a good one right before Acheron releases. Since we're adding a second Nihility, the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and update the formula to the 160% over here. So we're just going to type 160 there, click enter. And then the other formula also has 115. So we're just going to add that right there. The other two numbers here at the bottom scale off the first two, so it's already good to go. So just by adding the second Nihility, it already goes up by a little bit, 100k for a single target. The first Nihility character we're going to talk about is Luka. He gives a single target 20% vulnerability multiplier. But before we do that, since it's only single target, we're going to grab these numbers because the AoE numbers are not going to really change. So it's only going to be affected by the 160% multiplier, but they're not going to be taking advantage of the Luka 20% vulnerability. So let's copy those and put them over here. And then we're going to add Luka's 20% vulnerability, and then we'll take the single target damage from that, and then we'll paste it into here. Boom. So that correctly identifies what Luka's contribution to the damage is. By himself, without the 160%, it's going to be a lot lower than this. But because he's an Nihility character, Luka upgrades her damage by 39.1% approximately. Keep in mind, these is theorycraft numbers, guys. Nothing is exact, okay? The next character we're going to be talking about is Guinaifen, and since she can reliably stack fire kits on mainly 3 enemies, we're only going to calculate up to the 3rd enemy, and then the 5 enemies we're just going to leave as they're unaffected by vulnerability. So that's why this is there already. And then she gives you another 21% vulnerability debuff, so it brings us up to 133. So we can go ahead and copy and paste those things. I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste the numbers. I'm not going to bore you with all that stuff. All right, adding in Guinaifen gets her damage to about 42.2% from the base, which is just having Welt. And it makes sense that their damage is kind of similar because they're pretty much the same. One is 21%, the other one is 20% on the same multiplier, which is vulnerability. But Guinaifen's affects 3 enemies, which is why the damage is a little bit, about 3% higher. So it makes a little bit of sense. All right, next up we got Pela. And again, Pela is an AoE defense shredder, so we can safely put the 40% defense shred over here. And the reason I'm not taking into consideration the resolution pulse of sweat light cone is because all of these can wear resolution processor with light cone. So it's just easier to just get it out and then take it out of the formula, which is a lot easier to manage. So 40% defense reduction. AoE is going to take this damage at 127,000, which is already higher than the rest. And since it's AoE, you can expect her damage to be a little bit higher than everybody else's that we've calculated up to this point. So let me just put these in the table. And by adding Pela, as expected, her damage is going to go up by about 77% from the baseline, which is just having Welt, okay? And again, since Pela affects everybody on the field, with their defense reduction, it makes sense why her damage is so high. 435,000, that's pretty high on 5 enemies. 127,000 single target is pretty similar to this. I mean, not really. It's about 11% higher over here. It's still a high number. 127,000 single target, pretty nice. Okay, the next one is SilverWolf. I already copied over the AoE and 3 enemies and 5 enemies because she doesn't affect anybody else except for the main target. But for the main target, it's a really hefty amount of stuff that she does. So essentially, she has a 45% defense reduction with her ultimate, plus an extra 8% defense reduction from her bug if you landed. And then also she's going to further reduce the target's resistance to the element. So let's say you actually land a lightning weakness by an extra 30%. So this puts it at a minus 50% resistance multiplier, which it's already insane. Look at this damage right here, 174,000 single target. It's lower than Pela by itself, and it makes sense because Pela affects everybody on the field and also has a really strong 40% defense reduction that applies to everybody in the field. So the less amount of targets that there are on the field, the more effective SilverWolf is going to be. But then again, hitting the enemy for 60k, even small adds are going to end up dying for the most part, unless you're talking about swarm and all that stuff. So it's still a lot of damage that we're going to be getting there. Remember, she's still bringing the 160% nihility buff that she gets from having SilverWolf in the team. So this single target damage is pretty much going to be the highest that we're gonna get. Nobody's gonna even come close. The overall damage is still less than Pela. All right, but last but not least, we have Black Swan. She suffers from the same thing Guinaifen does, but a little bit. She suffers from what Guinaifen has, and then what also SilverWolf has, because she has a blast debuff, but she also has a single target debuff. So the blast debuff is the 20% defense reduction, 20.8% to be exact defense reduction. That is going to affect everybody except for the last 2 targets. So we're just going to go ahead and copy those. And then for the single target, she's going to add an extra 25% vulnerability multiplier if you use your ultimate on the enemy's turn when they have Epiphany. So that's a cool little tech that Black Swan and Acheron have that you can use, and her ultimate damage is going to jump to 137. Okay, Black Swan, her total is a 46% damage increase. I think it's third on the list, or Pela being the first one, SilverWolf being second, and then Black Swan being third. In all honesty, Black Swan, SilverWolf, or Pela, all 3 of them are actually really nice because they give you defense reduction, and that's pretty much the best damage amplifier that you can get. Also, we're not taking into consideration resolution, chance of pulse, sweat, light cone that either of them can have, and Acheron herself can have. So that's another 16% damage defense reduction that you can add to this. So the damage, there's still a little bit of damage left on the table. Now for the juicy part is when we start adding supports to this team, because remember, we're running a Welt sustained comp right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new table right next to this one that's going to be adding Sparkle. We're going to add Bronya, and we're going to add Ruan Mei to this fray, because a lot of you want to see what is the damage between Bronya, Sparkle, Ruan Mei, all that stuff. So we're going to add that to a Welt sustained comp, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, as I was trying to do this, I realized that there's no way for me to add in the values and all of it updates at the same time. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do the Pela box, and then after that I'm going to fill in the rest, and then we're going to go over the results at the end. For context, the Sparkle that we're going to be using is going to have 180% crit damage, same as Bronya, and then Ruan Mei is going to be with 180 break effect as well. So just for you guys that want to know what numbers I'm going to be using, those are the numbers that I'm going to be using. Okay, so Sparkle with 180% crit damage is going to add about 88% crit damage as well. So we're going to add 88 to that. So let's add 36. That's 124 total crit damage that our Acheron is going to have. And then she's also going to give us another 48% damage bonus for a total of 96% damage bonus. I also forgot to mention that Sparkle gives us 15% attack as well, so I added it in there. And then our results is 77% extra damage. That 226,000 single target hit It's pretty significant. I went ahead and added the resolution times as pros to Sweat Lycone because either Welt or Pela is going to be wearing it, let's be honest. So that is Sparkle's added damage right here. Pretty significant. And also we're not taking into consideration that I can still add on attack boots. This has all been calculated with speed boots, given that the majority of the teams that don't run either Sparkle or Bronya are going to be running, more than likely are going to be running speed boots. So the damage can still go even higher if we add attack boots in here. All right, next up, Bronya. So Bronya is going to give us 66% damage bonus over here. So 48 plus 66 is 114, I think. Yeah, 114. And then as far as crit damage, she's going to be giving us at 180% crit damage. She's going to give us about 48.8. So let's add that onto 36. 84.8 crit damage over there. She's also going to give us 55% attack bonus. Very, very hefty attack bonus. So let's go ahead and check this damage out. 246k, obviously higher than Sparkle. And it's because of all the boosts. She gives you 3 different types of boosts: crit boost, damage boost, and also attack boost at a very hefty amount. The problem with Bronya is that she's going to eat up all the skill points. Like between her and Acheron, you're never going to do Swell's skill, which you kind of need to do it. You're never going to do Pela's skill, which sometimes you may need to do it, because if she has the resolution science pros to Sweat Lycone and the enemy is already ensnared, you're going to you can't put another debuff. You can't put a second ensnare on the enemy. So you can't do the debuff with the basic attack if you don't do the skill. So Pela loses the ability of getting a debuff, at least for the turn that she's not going to ult, when she does her basic with the enemy already ensnared. Does that make sense? So skill points will be an issue when it comes to Bronya, but she does provide a very, very huge damage bonus. So let's see how much it is. Okay, so once the numbers are crunched in, 93.3% damage bonus. But again, guys, you're going to run into skill point issues unless we have unless you replace Welt, and you really can't replace Welt here because then you need a sustain. For the most part, you're going to need a sustain. Not everybody's is gonna be able to run a sustainless comp. You're going to need to run 2 units that just use basic attacks. The only ones that can get away with it is going to be Black Swan. But if you do that with Black Swan, you lose on the defense shred. So it's Black Swan and Guinaifen. Maybe SilverWolf can do that too, but SilverWolf wants to do the implantation so she can get the most damage bonus out of SilverWolf. So, but we'll see whenever we get to these tables. I'm not going to do the calculations for these right now. I'm just going to do them off cam and then show you the results, okay? But 93% damage bonus, that's damage increase. That's kind of crazy with Bronya, but it's just unfortunate that the skill points will be an issue. So this is probably less than Sparkle because of the damage, because of the turns that you're not going to be able to take advantage of Bronya's buffs, okay? All right, next up we got Ruan Mei. Ruan Mei is going to give us 68% damage bonus and the bonus damage department, so this is going to be 116 over here, and then she's going to give us 25% rest pen, which we can put right there, and our damage is going to just go up. Another thing that Ruan Mei is going to give us that neither Bronya or Sparkle can give us is, first of all, she's very skill point friendly. She's going to enable Acheron to do her skill every turn. Second, her break efficiency is going to allow Welt Sustain to perform at a higher level. Is going to pretty much delay your opponents into oblivion. You're not going to have to worry about getting hit pretty much ever, because between breaks and Welt's ultimate, and then the break after the break that Ruan Mei triggers, your opponents are just never going to go. You're more than likely going to kill them before they can do anything. So this to me looks like my favorite comp that I'm most excited to run. And another thing that I don't see a lot of people talking about is that Acheron is a colorless breaker. She can break anybody. With Ruan Mei increasing break efficiency of all allies and also break effect, she's going to give Acheron so much splashability, because not only she's going to break everybody regardless of the type, she's going to do extra toughness damage regardless of the type. So it's kind of like a Zui Yi kind of scenario. Everybody knows how strong Zui Yi is even as a 4-star. So imagine Acheron doing like this type of damage, 218k single target, almost 700k AoE, and also breaking everybody on the field regardless of their type. That is just insanity. And then if you break, Ruan Mei's own damage is going to kick in, so the damage is probably going to be closer to 1 million. I'm not even joking about this. Even on the spreadsheets, if I calculate Ruan Mei's damage, is going to be close to 1 million. In my opinion, Ruan Mei with Welt Sustain is pretty much the filet mignon of this calculation table. And it's probably the one that I'm going to be most excited about running. So there you go. Let me paste this on the table so we can get this video done. Okay, so as you can see, Ruan Mei gives an overall less damage output, but this is not taken into consideration break damage and potential breaking shields faster as well. So I think Ruan Mei is probably my favorite out of all these, even though Sparkle seems really strong. Bronya, even though it yields the most damage on paper, it really doesn't work like that because of the skill point management issue. I would probably play Sparkle second, Ruan Mei first. This is only with the Welt comp. And it's because of the whole breaking efficiency and a break effect increase. The enemies are just never going to be able to hit you. And in other games, this is called a control setup. Control setup is when you sustain your team by not letting your enemies play. So that's what Welt and Ruan Mei combined can do for you, and that no other team composition can do. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off these tables, and then we'll go to a conclusion so I can wrap up the video. All right, I'm not going to lie, this took way longer than I thought it was going to take, but I'm done. I did the first table live with you guys, but I also did these two tables off screen. And the results are pretty much as expected. Honestly, the Pela table was the more impressive one, even though the highest single target damage consistently remains on the SilverWolf one, because it just makes sense. SilverWolf is debuffs a single target, which is the main target you're actually wanting to kill, because most of the time we want to kill a boss and you need to do a lot of damage to the bosses. So SilverWolf is really good for AoE. For single target, if you're more interested in just clearing stuff. So for instance, if you're interested in pure fiction, maybe somebody like Black Swan, even though Black Swan is just busted beyond belief by herself on pure fiction, with Acheron is just going to take it to a whole nother level. So I am never going to recommend the Bronya because of the skill point issue that I mentioned. I just threw it in here so people can compare the difference in damage that it would have been had Bronya not have such a severe skill point issue that she does. But aside from that, if you are more interested in single target, if you just want to blast a boss out of existence, run a SilverWolf build. Or if you are more if you don't have SilverWolf, I think a Luka build would probably be really nice, because Luka has that 20% vulnerability. So Luka is the closest thing that you're going to find to a single target debuffer, even though Guinaifen does the same thing but for 3 people, so Guinaifen or Luka can work. But yeah, SilverWolf obviously takes the cake for single target damage, consistently over 250,000. The only other comparable one in the other two tables is with Bronya, but again, I'm not going to recommend Bronya. Sparkle, very solid support all around. It hovers at around 73% damage increase in total. And then Ruan Mei, it just varies. This table doesn't do Ruan Mei a lot of justice because of the intangibles that I didn't put in the graph, like break efficiency, breaking enemies, break damage. All of that Ruan Mei is going to scale it up. And if I'm being honest, it's probably going to be more than 9% damage bonus or 11% damage bonus. So even though it looks like a big gap between Sparkle and Ruan Mei, it's really not. Like, when you take into consideration break damage and break efficiency, the damage that Ruan Mei is going to add into Acheron when it's with a sustained Welt comp is just insane. So that's why I thought of making this video, because there was no way in my mind that having a Welt sustain being ran with a Ruan Mei was going to be like something that people were just going to gloss over. To me, is probably one of the stronger compositions in the game at this moment, and is mainly because of that colorless breaking and the control aspect that the play style allows you to have. So the thing is that even if you have Pela, Guinaifen, Luka, it doesn't matter who it is. If you have Ruan Mei and Welt, you can run this comp, and it doesn't matter who the other Nihility is. They're going to go insane. The same thing goes with Sparkle. If you're going to run a Welt sustain, you can't go wrong with a Sparkle or Ruan Mei. If you're looking for, if the opponent is more controllable, doesn't have that many CC resistances, then run Ruan Mei. And then if you just want to just do crazy nutty damage and want to run attack boots, run Sparkle. So yeah, that's going to be the end of the video for today, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And until next time, guys, see ya.